Driving to the Hopi tribe is an experience. I don't know if it's because when my friend Bob and I go, we know we're going to the Hopi people. I don't know if it's just our intent or that truly this is a very unusual drive. You get there by going along Oak Creek Canyon from Sedona to Flagstaff. Flagstaff, we usually pick up a coffee and lunch, buy some lunch for later on our trip. And then as you're driving out of Flagstaff on 89, you pass the San Francisco Peaks. And those are an extremely sacred mountain to all the Native American people in Arizona. And later on in the blog series, we're going to take a walk there on a trail called the Kachina Trail. So you'll get to experience that. So after going past this very sacred mountain, very quickly, the ponderosa pines disappear and the land levels out and expands out, and it's this pinky red. In the springtime, sometimes if there's been some significant rain, there are carpets of wildflowers of yellow and white and blue. And then in the distance, there are these unusual large sandstone rock formations that look like people or lizards or animals. They're fascinating. As you go along 89 towards Tuba City, and then from Tuba City to the Hopi Reservation, very rarely do you pass a car. And so this feeling of expansion and otherworldness continues as you go along. Tuba City is just under 2 hours to get there. It's a pretty small city, but it's significant to the Native Americans because the Hopi Reservation is sort of in the center of the Navajo Reservation, which is very large. And Tuba City is the only hospital for that whole area. From Tuba City, you take 264, and after Tuba City again, you meet, I don't know if we've ever met any car on the way from Tuba City to the first mesa of the Hopi people. Every time we've done this trip, as we start to approach the mesas, I tell you, I swear, time changes. It expands. I start wondering how long we've been driving. Have we been driving a long time, or is it just a short time? It's a very significant experience that I have both going into the Hopi tribe reservation and leaving. All of the buildings on the Hopi reservation, on these 3 mesas, are sandstone. And so despite the fact that 9,000 to 10,000 people live there, you don't feel that there's many people there at all, because the homes, which are sandstone blocks with flat roofs, merge into the landscape. There are no monuments. There isn't any decoration, really, because the land is their decoration. The rock formations are their monuments. The homes are where they live, but also the land is where they live. So it all seems to kind of merge in together. There are dances that they have, ceremonial dances, that Bob and I have seen a few times. We've happened to be there when they were having them on one of the mesas. And they take place in the central plaza of a village, sort of a square, a plaza. And the dances take place in the center, and you can walk up these kind of rickety ladders to get to the top of the roof of the buildings to look over and watch the dances. Every time we've been there for the dances, we've been virtually the only white people there. Also, for the Hopi, it's very rude to directly stare at someone. So the first time I went, I was sort of feeling, am I even here? Because no one was making eye contact. They were just going about their day and leaving us alone. So it's quite an unusual experience. The ceremonies are both public dances to celebrate many different things. We watched, one was the butterfly dance, and it was mainly a woman's dance, and the women all had these beautiful, incredible headdresses. And one of the Hopi men told me that they work for months to make these headdresses for their special women. And so the women were wearing these elaborate, beautiful headdresses as they did their dance. Within the plaza in each village, there are also kivas. And kivas are underground, sacred, ceremonial buildings that are under the earth. And there are the secret and sacred ceremonies that the Hopi do for the harmony and fulfillment and benefit of the universe. These are universal ceremonies that they do, that they feel they have been given as a sacred covenant to Mausau, who is the creator and the caretaker of the earth. Their origin story is that they came up from the third world underground into the fourth world, on Earth, onto the surface of the earth. And there they met Mausau, and he basically told them to go to a virtually uninhabitable place so that they would be left alone by other people so that they could do their sacred ceremonies. They could live their Hopi way of life. Their social system is very complex and intertwined. It is a matrilineal society, meaning that the kinship and the property goes through the female line. And there are so many really special ways that they conduct themselves. For instance, corn is very special to them, and they have this special kind of dry farming that they have created out there in the Hopi Reservation, which is semi-arid. It is dry. There are very few plants or trees. It's pretty extreme conditions there, and they are left alone, and they have maintained their independent spiritual way of life for eons. In fact, they call themselves the first peoples, and there is something to that, because historians say that some of the villages there are the longest continually occupied villages in North America. So that is the Hopi place at that Hopi reservation. I want to, I've been speaking about the Hopi, but I want to offer some words from two Hopi artists. Artists in the Hopi villages are revered because they attempt to express the spirit and spirituality of the people through their art. Different villages have different kinds of arts that they are expert in. Some is weaving, pottery, jewelry. There are these Kachina dolls that we will talk about when we visit San Francisco Peaks and walk the Kachina Trail. But they're very artistic, painted, carved Kachina dolls that are their gods or spirits. And there's also painting. So I'm going to read a couple of quotes from these Hopi artists that live on the Hopi Reservation. And at the same time, I'm going to try to pan to give you the view from here. So we'll see if I can do both together. Just hold on. Here is a quote from Han Van Tewa. Spiritual essence is the heart of the Hopi way. It is a ceremonial way, but also it is the everyday way of Hopi human life. It is the physical world of beauty which surrounds us in animals and plants, but also it is the spiritual world because everything in nature has a spirit. Our concept of the Hopi Way is that a spiritual essence touches every part of our lives. It exists as a very personal religion, providing a belief about ourselves and how we live with each other and our surroundings. In a special way, it exists in our religious celebrations. It also exists in our art. The sun is an important part of Hopi essence. It is a source of energy for all living things. We live with our land. It provides daily nourishment and strength for our bodies and souls. Even the rocks of the mesas have a kind of life essence. The rocks are beautiful in their many colors and textures. They change with seasons and with the years. They are the substance of our ancient villages and shrines and houses we live in. The kiva, our most sacred ceremonial space, is a central area of the Hopi way of life. It is made of stone and plastered with earth mud. As a Hopi artist, I endeavor to bring to the canvas the real meaning of the spiritual essence as it permeates the lives of our people. As artists Hopid, we believe that we possess a faith and a spiritual outlook so strong that despite the hardships, it prays for all living beings to have fulfilling lives. So that last line, I believe, is referencing their origin story and their sacred covenant to Mausau. It prays for all living beings to have fulfilling lives. The second quote, which is also, I believe, referencing the Hopi origin story, is from Oma Waiwesa. The Hopi live in a harsh environment with not much vegetation. Our people chose to come to this land and to settle themselves amongst these mesas, because during the migrations it was said that we should seek this promised land, a place where there is not too much green, where it is not too comfortable, a land that we would find barren, and where to survive we would be able to develop our strengths and our souls.
As